गाइस प्लीज चेक कर लो, कुछ करना तो।
एनोटेशन बंद कर दिया सब?
एनोटेशन बंद कर दिया हुआ है वहां से, और जो भी स्क्रीन शेयर करेगा उसको भी बोल देगा इन लोग, तो कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं होना चाहिए।
ठीक है।
तो 1 मिनट प्रत्युष तुम ट्राई कर ले, फिर हम स्टार्ट कर रहे हैं, वहां पर रीडायरेक्ट कर रहा है। एंड अभी और किसी को एंटर मत कराओ,
नहीं, हम
चाहे वो
सिर्फ
एक्सएमएस का है तो भी मत करो, फायदा नहीं करवा के फालतू में, सबको एक साथ ही कर देंगे।
हेलो। हेलो, चेक
चेक हो रहा है।
आवाज क्लियर है?
हाँ क्लियर है। पक्का इटालियन फुटबॉलर लग रहा है। नव्या कुछ बोलेगी क्या अभी?
नव्या का क्लोजिंग एड्रेस है।
ठीक है। हम मैनली लगने लगे। ठीक है, तो तेरा चेक हो गया, फिर हम रीडायरेक्ट कर रहे हैं, ठीक है, और कुछ नहीं होने वाला, तुम जल्दी लोगो चलाओ यार।
गुड।
सुनो, एंटर एग्जिट कौन देख रहा है?
देख रहे हैं, सब लोग देख रहे हैं।
मतलब एक
नहीं नहीं, क्या होगा ना, तो एक बार में एंटर ऑल हो जाएगा, फिर जैसे जैसे जो जो आएगा उन लोग को लेते रहेंगे, बट अभी अगर मैम और स्पीकर इन लोग कोई आएगा तो उन लोग को एंटर कर देंगे, वो तो सब देख ही रहे।
वही, और पिन कर दो ये मैसेज।
हाँ, किसको पिन करता है?
ये तुम्हारा स्पीकर स्पॉन्सर वाला।
हाँ, वो कर रहा, स्पॉटलाइट कर रहा। अरे हम स्पॉटलाइट ऑन किया तुम ऑफ कर दिया।
कोई एक शॉपर स्टॉप आया है। प्रत्युष।
सिमरन वी आर लाइव।
Hello, good morning, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. So we'll begin in like 10 minutes.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Audio is clear, video is clear.
Yes, sir. Everything's good, sir.
All right, okay.
Thank you, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Hi, good morning. In terms of, can I ask a question?
Yeah, sure, sir.
Yeah. In terms of the audience, are they all students mainly?
Yes, sir. They will be like students from the St. Xavier's College, Kolkata.
And predominantly business students, or
Yeah,
all business students, is it?
mostly. Yeah.
Mostly. All right. Okay.
There will be an audience from outside the college as well, but
Sorry, there'll be an audience from the college. Yeah,
outside
sure.
the college also, but
I
mostly
see.
from the college.
Okay. Who would be the ones from the outside the college?
So it can be anyone,
Okay.
since all of this is a public event.
And is it being, would there be any media in it?
There shouldn't be, sir.
No, that's what I would have thought. I just thought I'll check. And last question, in terms of do the audience, do I see the audience or I'm speaking to a screen? Do they
Sir,
keep
I'll
the
be there
videos on
screen.
normally?
No, sir. Videos are usually kept off.
Videos are kept. All right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't intend to use any slides, so I'll just be speaking.
Yeah, that's fine, sir.
All right. Okay. And does it tend to be interactive normally?
Yes, sir. We have a question and answer sessions as well.
After the event or during the?
So it's up to you.
And is it live? So if I were to ask in between, if I were to ask a question, can I get responses or is it a broadcast format?
Yeah, you can get responses.
I can. Okay. So if I were to ask people to switch on their cameras, will they do it?
So the issue with that is usually we don't prefer that people switch on their cameras since it can lead to certain interferences.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough. All right. Okay.
Yeah, but audio is fine, and we can do some sort of question and answer session after your speaking is over.
Sure.
So that it's more moderated.
Done. Okay. No problem. And have your classes started or are you still virtual?
So it's everything is virtual till now, but hopefully soon.
And who's got the call on it? Is the college that is desired or is it the government?
I think it's the government.
I see. Okay.
The college will, yeah.
So Calcutta, nothing has started here. Everything this is all based in Calcutta, right?
Yes, sir.
So Calcutta schools have not started yet, is it?
No, not yet, sir. But a government circular just came, which may start. Yeah. So we may start having classes from the end of November. But it's all speculation for now.
Sure. Okay.
I think we can start with the session now if we're ready, sir.
Yeah, I am.
Okay. So good afternoon to one and all present here. Before we start off with the proceedings, we would like to extend a note of thanks to our sponsors, without whom this event would not have been possible. Charnock Hospital is a 300-bed super specialty hospital near Kolkata Airport with a clear focus on high-end tertiary and quaternary care treatments like cardiac sciences, neurosciences, gastrosciences, renal services, pulmonary and organ transplant, etc., including 100 ICU beds, modular OTs, world-class German and American medical equipment, full-time consultants, and a beautiful ambience. Charnock Hospital believes and practices the motto of patient first and gives topmost priority to patients' quality treatment, safety, comfort, and their early recovery. Patients' interests are the prime focus, which acts like a pivot in the work culture here. Elon Markets is a young, vibrant company established with the vision of taking online financial education to a new level, both in India and abroad. With the mission of spreading financial literacy, they are constantly experimenting with new education methodologies and technologies to provide free learning videos, courses, and blogs, and make financial education convenient, effective, and accessible to all. They offer 200 plus courses, which include certified courses by NSE Academy, MCX, and NCDEX, along with 1.4 million verified users. YouTube channel of Elon Markets has over 568,000 subscribers, and the Twitter handle is Elon Markets. Next, I would like to introduce our event. So, good afternoon, Father Principal, Father Vice Principal, our distinguished speaker, Mr. Venugopal Nair, faculty members, and all students of St. Xavier's College, Kolkata. We welcome you to our event, X-Genesis'21. I would like to call upon Reverend Father Peter Arokiam, Vice Principal, Department of Management Studies, BCom Evening, and MCom of St. Xavier's College, Kolkata, to deliver the welcome address.
Are you able to see me? Yeah, there you are. A very good afternoon to Reverend Father Principal, Father Dominic Xavier, and our guest speaker of the day, Mr. Venugopal Nair, the MD and the CEO of Shoppers Stop. Of course, he was also a famous person earlier with M&S. Sir, we are really happy to have you with us. Welcome, sir, to motivate our students. I'm really happy, along with the department, to welcome you for this session. Once again, a very warm welcome as well as good afternoon to our respected professors, especially to our Dean, sir, and the XMS pillars, I call it, Professor Sukarna Circle, and our own sir, who is actually the main pillar for today, as ma'am is facing some tiring times. So, Supriya Patra sir, and my dear students.
Good morning,
welcome. Father. And after a long time, of course, such a session that we are having this time, of course, we had it for others every week practically. But to have the first years once again, which is actually, this is only for them, is really interesting. And I'm really happy to meet you virtually, but longing to meet you physically as early as possible. Hope to do so. Friends, our first event, X-Genesis, is meant for the freshers. You, I mean it. The event aims to create a platform for them to examine their skills and demonstrate your own talent, as well as to introduce ambitious future corporates to a world of competition and allow you to discover your abilities. It consists of events from various sectors in the field of management, ranging from marketing and HR to finance and strategic management. X-Genesis is being the first calendar event of the Xavier's Management Society, sets the benchmark for the entire calendar year that we are going to have ahead of us. It also gives you an insight into the operations of this particular society, which is very famous society, I call it, Xavier's Management Society. They stand out, then they stand apart in the quality programs that they conduct. The first year students are brimming with excitement and enthusiasm when they enter the college year after year that I have been seeing. And we always try our best to meet your expectation. And particularly this society focuses on channelizing the enthusiasm and energy that you come with to facilitate growth and learning potential among you, my dear students. We at St. Xavier's College, Kolkata, believe in our vision of nihil ultra, which means nothing beyond. Nothing beyond. What I mean is that nothing beyond your ability, nothing beyond your capability. And this is the spirit most definitely filtered into this event as well. The students of Xavier's Management Society have worked tirelessly to plan and execute this online event with zest and enthusiasm. Even though the event takes place on a virtual platform, it will always be intellectually stimulating and enlightening. My dear students, let me tell you that in a normal situation, the amount of time our students and the professors put in for this event to encourage and enthuse my dear first student is enormous, enormous. They used to work till even late night, and they make sure that becomes the best year after year. So I take this time specially to thank our speaker of the day for having accepted our students, our invitation, sir, to encourage our students. So once again, I would like to specially thank you for accepting our invitation. I also take this opportunity to thank the professors in charge of XMS And the entire team, starting from the secretary, joint secretary, and the creative head, marketing head, and everyone, HR, all of you have put together your effort, put your hands together, that you have brought it to this level to make it to the best after so many days of so many challenging events. So I thank each and every one of you. God bless you. Have a nice day. Once again, wish you all the best for the coming events. Thank you, sir. Thanks to everyone. God bless you all.
Thank you, Father. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Father Vice Principal, for your kind words. I shall now introduce our revered speaker, Mr. Venugopal Nair, the Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of Shoppers Stop. He is an international retail leader with a rich and varied experience in the retail and apparel industry across South Asia and Europe. Prior to joining Shoppers Stop, he was the CEO of Westside at Trent Limited, where he was responsible for the growth of the brand across the country for over 3 years. For a large part of his tenure at Trent, he was responsible for the operations of Zudio and Landmark. He was also the MD of Marks & Spencer's Reliance Private Limited, where he spearheaded its growth. During his tenure, the turnover of the business tripled with a significant growth in local sourcing. I would like to call upon our esteemed speaker, Mr. Venu Nair, who will be engaging with us on the topic, creating synergy between passion and opportunity.
Thank you, Father Dominic Xavier, Father Peter, ladies, gentlemen, students, and all of you on this call. A very good afternoon to each and everyone. I hope this is one of the last virtual events that you have to go through. And I hope and pray that you will get back to physical meetings. While virtual has become a way of life, I think these kind of events, when done physically, do make a difference. And hearing from Father Peter, the amount of energy, effort that goes behind this, it's very, very important, I guess, for you to be doing that. And I'm sure you will get there sooner rather than later. Thanks to XMS, thanks to all of the organizers for having me this afternoon. I thought I will speak to you on creating synergy between passion and opportunity. All of you, or rather most of you, students in your first year, and some of you, I guess, into your final year and looking to graduate, get out into the corporate world and pursue your careers. I thought it'll be an apt time to be talking to you about how you choose your careers, how you choose the path for yourselves that you want to progress into. I'll just talk through. You'll be delighted to hear that I don't have any slides. I won't kill you with PowerPoints. And I'll try and keep my session to a few, probably 15, 20 minutes, and then I'll be happy to answer any questions that you have. Before I get into the topic itself, I think it's only fair that I give you a bit of an introduction about Shoppers Stop, who I head, the company that I head, who I represent here. Shoppers Stop, I assume needs no introduction, especially for all of you in Calcutta. We have a number of stores, 5 to be precise, in Calcutta. It's one of our better cities in terms of performance. We're quite happy with the way Shoppers Stop is represented in the city. Shoppers Stop is an icon of Indian retail. It was the first department store. It was the first organized retail business in the country. It has been a path breaker. It has been a leader, and it continues to be a leader in that space. It's gone through a lot of changes. And this week, we celebrated our 30th year of being in existence. 30 years when Shoppers Stop has been serving this country and serving its customers. Over 8 million loyal customers who bless us with our business. The business itself, which started with 1 store, today it's over 250 stores across the country. with the brand names of Shopperstop, HomeStop, and also operating all of the beauty stores of Estee Lauder, being MAC, Estee Lauder, Clinique, Bobbi Brown, Joe Malone, and Too Faced. So it's a widespread of operations that we have. Omnichannel, shopperstop.com, which has become a way of life and I believe is the future of retail. So that's a quick introduction about Shopperstop. Coming to the topic of the day, creating synergy between passion and opportunity. And as I was thinking about what do I speak to you young students and what is it that you would benefit from this afternoon, and I thought I'll talk to you a little bit about how you could go about. I'm sure you've got lots of thoughts, ideas in terms of how you want to progress your career, where you want to progress your career, where you want to pursue your career, and so on and so forth. In my experience, though, I reckon 10% of the students are absolutely clear in terms of where they want to move into once they finish their courses, or which industries want to get into, which function they want to get into. Probably another 20% or maybe 30% would have a fair idea of where they want to go. And I dare say that a large majority would still be undecided and may have a rough idea, but definitely not a clear idea. And that's absolutely fine. And that's very, very normal, because that's just the norm and that's how things progress. The period that you are gaining knowledge, educating yourself, and spending a lot of time in learning various skills, various subjects, various attributes, this is also the time for you to introspect about yourself and look at what excites you. I do believe it's very important to try and identify what is it that excites you, what is it that tickles you, what area, what function, what department, what industry makes you feel delighted to be spending time on. And that probably comes with a little bit of trial and error, if I were to put it that way, to check out various options that you would have. I would encourage you to read, understand more, talk to professionals in the industries or the functions that you are interested in and get a better idea. The idea that you may have of an industry or a function could be very, if I were to put it lightly, it could be very superficial. It could be based on what you have read in the papers, what you've read in the magazines, what you have read in the net, or any of those. But the true reality could be quite different. And hence, getting an idea from people who are in the jobs or in the roles is important. Equally, I would encourage you to look at doing internships. Do short internships, 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 8 weeks, 12 weeks. Some you will have to do mandatorily as a part of your course. But you also have the opportunity to do a lot more outside of the course to get an understanding. This is the period where you are trying to match your skill, your talent. Each of you have got immense skill, immense talent. You're all gifted people, and that's why you are in this room, you are on this call. At the same time, you also have passion, and you have your own beliefs, you have your own value systems, and there are things that you are absolutely keen to be pursuing. You are absolutely sure that is what will make you happy. That's what will bring joy to you. Trying to match what you love to do, what's your passion, with where you pursue your career is something which could end up giving you a lot of joy if you were to find the match. However, finding that match could take some time, and that's fine. You should do that. In the initial phase of your career, try and do that during the period when you are studying through internships and narrow it down. finally to an area that you do want to get into. Preparing for your interviews, preparing for how you get a job, that's a different subject that I won't get into. I won't get into that today afternoon. But what I would like to talk to you about is how you pursue beyond that in terms of once you land a job, whether it be in a startup, whether it be in a traditional industry, whether it be in a new age industry, whether it be a new function, whether it be an existing function, whether you choose to be an entrepreneur, all of that's choices that you make. But once you have made that choice, how do you progress from there? And making sure that you are making the most of your career, your first few years. Your career itself, I would split it probably into 3 phases. The first phase is the learning phase. That's the phase you start to, you spend all your time learning, absorbing. What you learn is the college is just the beginning. I'm sorry to say this, but that's only a start. If any of you think that these 2 years is all that you will do in terms of learning, and after that it's just about enjoying life, you're in for a surprise. You will be learning for a number of years. The first phase of your career, probably the first 10 years, first 15 years will be a learning phase. Then comes your phase when you start to consolidate, you narrow down. You might actually go that way. You might spend your time spending across various functions, trying to adapt. As I said, you might have to learn trial and error to find out what you actually like to do, gain various experience. And I would encourage each one of you to actively pursue and look at different options. Use the first phase of your career to gain knowledge, gain experience, gain expertise. Learning, and prioritize learning over earning. Earning will happen, and I'll come to that in a minute. So that's the first phase. The second phase is when you consolidate what you have learned and you decide where you want to progress, and then you move into your earning phase. Now that's the traditional model. What you will need to marry that into is the times that we live in and the future. We are all living in times of great change. And if anything, this change is going to accelerate in the coming in the coming years. The phase that I grew up in when I started my work, when I started my career, the model was much more straightforward, where you chose a profession, you chose a function that you want to be, and you progress from that. You progress with that. If you chose to be in marketing, majority of my peers, my friends chose to continue with that till they got into a senior level, either then ventured out to do their own business or moved into senior roles of general management. But you went pretty much the vertical route. In the years to come, that model is not going to exist anymore. With the level of change and with the speed of change that we are now seeing, you will have to keep reskilling yourself. You will have to keep learning again and again and again. What you learned first, the skills that you acquired, could very quickly become redundant in 5 to 10 years. And hence the need to reskill and relearn and readapt and move on to new areas, new functions, because that will be the norm going forward. And hence the overemphasis that I'm putting on learning and that phase of your career, because that is absolutely essential for you to be able to establish a strong place for yourself. Once you do that, and then again, I would repeat, focus on learning versus earning. Don't prioritize money in the first few years. And it's quite easy and it's quite tempting to do that. Never compare. When you compare with some of your others who might have actually got into a more paying job, and I'm using the phrase more paying rather than better, because it's just that. It's only that some jobs pay more than the other, does not mean it's better. It's important you focus on what you're doing and adapt, learn so that you develop some strong foundational basic skills that will stand up to you for good stead. As I said, you will need to keep learning. You will need to keep adapting because that's going to be the future. Digital has become a way of life, along with AI, along with augmented reality, virtual reality. The way business is conducted has changed, will continue to change, and we'll see a massive, massive shift in the years to come. And each of you will need to be adapting and riding that wave every time that happens, because I reckon that's going to be only fasten as we go forward with the level of innovation that is now happening. So it's for you to do that. And it's for you to make sure that you have that mindset to do that. Once you get past your learning phase and the consolidation phase, and that's when your earning phase comes in, let money chase you. Once you've got a strong base for yourself, once you establish yourself, once you're known for what you do, money will chase you. Don't worry about that. That's when your earning phase comes, the learning versus earning, which I keep talking about. And that's very, very important. And I can give you a few examples. The way, and I'll give you probably 3 examples. One is with Shopper Stop itself, and the way we adapt and the way we skill people up when we take, and we normally take young graduates or young management graduates with probably a year or 2 of experience, so that they've got a little bit of an industry experience before they join us. And we have a program manager that we have set up. These program managers come in, and necessarily they work in at least 3 different functions in the first 5 years. So they have to move, they'll work in a function, and they have it's not a training job. They are responsible for a particular area within the function, and they would do that for 18 to 24 months, and then move on to the next function and the third function, so that by 5 years, they have developed skills for at least in 3 different areas. And that then helps them to choose which area they prefer. I mean, which is the area that they find their passion in, which is the area that they enjoy the most, which is where their calling is, as one says, so that they can then decide where to progress further in their careers. So that's one example. I'll also talk, also never be scared to change, never be scared to move. In fact, I would encourage people to move across functions, move across different paths within the business, or look for new companies. That's up to you, really. It depends on level of risk that you're willing to take. It is true that every time you move a job, you are taking a risk, because you have to prove yourself again when you move into a new job. So once you join a business, staying with them makes more sense, at least for a significant length of time, because then you don't have to prove yourself every single time and establish your credibility every single time. And you don't lose out on your credibility when, as you will do when you move into a new role. Another example that I can talk to you about is, and this is somebody who has done very well from in their career, but what they did do, or what this individual did, and it's a lady in this case, in the fashion business that we are, and after spending almost 5 years in this business, decided, I don't like fashion. Fashion's too transient. That's not where I want to pursue my career. I want to be into digital, because that's the future. Engineer by background with a postgraduate in management, she decided that she thinks the future is digital, and that's what she wants to be. And that's what she did. Quit the business of fashion, got into a completely new area in digital, a digital company, focused on digital, run by tech and techies. And she came from a fashion background, moved in there, and obviously brought in a different skill for that business. Stayed there for 2 years and very, very quickly realized it's a completely different world. And what she thought was her passion, what she thought was her calling, was not her calling. That's not what she liked to do. She didn't enjoy that and chose to move back to fashion. and chose to move back in a very different area in fashion, moving from an international fashion business to an Indian fashion business, moving from ethnic wear or moving from a Western wear background to an ethnic wear background. Those choices you make, and never resist the change if that's what is where your passion is, because that's very, very important for you to enjoy what you do. Remember, majority of your waking hours will be spent at work. You will spend between 8 to 12 hours of the 16 to 18 hours that you're awake for 5 days a week. You will be spending at work. You might as well enjoy what you're doing and get a smile at the end of the day after you finish your work. Get that satisfaction of having achieved something at the end of the work or at the end of the day, because that is what will give you a good night's sleep. That's what will give you confidence in your life, and that's what will make you move forward. Another example I can give you is of the first employee of Shoppers Stop, our current chairman, B.S. Nagesh. Some of you would have heard of Nagesh. Again, he is who at the age of 30, he chose to leave everything that he had learned, what he had done, to set up a completely new business called Shoppers Stop. Unknown at that time, all of the malls that you see today, all of the big retail stores that you see today, whether it's international, whether it's national, none of them existed. There was no Big Bazaar, there was no Alan Solly, there was no Big Bazaar, there was no Reliance, none of the Reliance formats were there, no Pantaloons, none of them, no H&M, no Zara. India didn't have any of that. At that point in time, Nagesh chose to make, and he wanted to run a big shop. That's all he knew. He had the experience of running small shops of 500 square feet, 1,000 square feet. He wanted to run a big shop of 50,000 square feet. And that's what he chose to do. That's what he did. And he did have the opportunity. He expressed his passion to a few people, and he found somebody who was willing to back him to do that. And that's how he got into this and set up this organization, this fantastic company called Shoppers Stop, and started the whole retail industry in this country. It would not have existed but for him choosing to follow his passion, choosing to do what he likes to do, and choosing to get to where he did. I'm sure you've read about enough and more examples of great entrepreneurs, great leaders who followed their passion and got to what they did. But that all came in by introspecting, by making a choice of where they would like to go. And that's what I would encourage each one of you to do. Don't get stuck in a role. If you don't like that, introspect. What is it that you don't like? At the same time, give it your best effort, because it takes time. Any change is uncomfortable. But at the same time, making an effort is what you can do. And once you make that effort, you will know for sure if that's something that you're liking it, you're enjoying it, and you're able to move. One last thing, and then I will open up and I'll take any questions that there are. In the first few, I talked about the learning phase, the consolidation, and the earning phase. And that's true. That always stands. Remember, your career is a marathon. It's not a sprint. It's not a T20 match. It's not a one-day match. It's a test match. It's spread over at least 25 to 30 years. You may choose, and I'm sure a lot of you at this point in time would probably want to make enough money that by the time you've got to 40, you could retire and spend the rest of your life in Ibiza or Maldives or Goa. And that's a genuine thought. That's a good thought. Most people have that. But at the same time, what you will also realize is that you need a purpose to life. You need to be actively engaged in something that you're doing. And the majority of you, I bet, will continue to work for at least 25 to 30 years. Hence, the first 2 years and running for money or running to do something just because you get a lakh more is not going to get you anywhere. What's important is to identify where you want to go, how you want to get there, and focus. Make sure you are completely aligned with the purpose of your life, purpose of what you think makes you happy, and where you think your skill is. And you will find that it will come to you naturally. Just give it time. And if it takes an extra 6 months, don't get worried about it. If it takes an extra year, so be it. Be willing to experiment, be willing to move on to new things, and put a disproportionate emphasis on learning, and learning through doing, learning through management. After all, management is about making things happen. It is about moving from being managers to leaders. And that happens by doing. And finally, while luck is important, don't rely on luck. Luck is actually when preparation meets opportunity. Thank you. And I'll take any questions if there are any.
Everyone, the floor is open for questions. So please just ask if you have any.
Good afternoon, sir. Sir, I had a question. As you mentioned, Shoppers Store was one of its kind of retail store. So what, according to you, are the challenges faced by the brand?
Afternoon, Srishti. It's a very good question, and there are a number of challenges that Shoppers Stop as a business has faced over the last 30 years. Many different ones, and it's seen a number of changes. If I were to fast forward to today and just talk about what challenges that come in, we live in times of great change, and the last 18 months has changed the demography, the customer behavior and consumer behavior in probably the fastest pace of change that the company has seen is over the last 18 months. Simply put, e-commerce always existed, whereas today, but it was seen as something which was there, important, but probably not the most important. Whereas today, omnichannel is the future. I personally believe that the future of retail is neither physical nor digital. It is going to be omnichannel, where the consumer makes a choice of where they want to shop, when they want to shop, how they want to shop. And as retailers, our job is to make sure that we are making it possible for our customers to be able to reach out to us physically or virtually through digital means at any point in time. So that's one. Adapting and changing and staying ahead in terms of fashion, in terms of trends, making sure that we are half a step ahead of our customer, not one step ahead, not 2 steps ahead, not 1 step behind. Staying ahead, half a step ahead of our customer to be able to predict what their needs are and being able to offer that to customers is very, very important. Remember, in retail, what's important is to have things that somebody would want to buy, not what they already have. Nobody's coming into a store looking for what they already have. So it's about being able to entice them into buying something, what will give them confidence, what will boost their, make them look good and make them feel good. And that's and the pace of change and the way the change has happened is something which keeps us on our toes to be staying ahead of that.
Thank you so much, sir, for such an insightful answer. Does anyone have, can the next question please come up?
So I would like to go forward. So good afternoon, sir. Firstly,
Good afternoon.
thank you so much for such an insightful session.
So all of us present here are just entering life, and I'm pretty sure everyone is in a very confused state of mind. So, sir, could you tell us how and when you recognized your goal and understood when you had to, go forward with a certain career? So, if you could enlighten us on that.
So I have lived pretty much the way I put it out, where I have actually taken out different challenges. The one thing which has been, uh, I have always been focused on is to be enjoying what I do and at the same time learning something new every year, every single year. I started my career, I'm an engineer by background, and I worked as an engineer for about 18 months and quickly realized that seeing machines turn doesn't make me happy. It didn't give me, it gave me good money, and I was enjoying life, but at the same time, it was not making me happy mentally. And that's when, and what I did enjoy was being with people, leading people, like a lot of you, I'm sure, being management in the management college that you have got into. One of the reasons you got into is because you like to be with people, and it's about making things happen. And that's what I enjoyed personally. And that's where I chose to pursue a career in management. And after that, I got into, again, the choices I had was, and again, I'll tell you something interesting within my, when I was doing my post graduation, I was an engineer, and I had thought in my first year, I had thought that I would want to pursue a production management. The simple reasoning being, I didn't want to lose out on the engineering degree that I had and the engineering background that I had. And hence, I thought if I were to combine engineering and management, I would be more successful. I did my internship at Tata Motors in Pune. And in the 2 months that I spent there, I realized, or it occurred to me, that working on a shop floor and managing production, managing people, and the whole aspect of what goes in there was again not something which I was enjoying. And that's when I actually chose to shift after the first year from production to management to marketing. And that's something I really enjoyed. And that's how I pursued a career in marketing. And within marketing, again, I actually chose sales over marketing in the first phase. And what I did do was every 3 years, I actually moved across. I moved from fabrics to garments. I moved from domestic to exports. I then, after 10 years of being in sales and marketing, I actually moved into a back-end role and to sourcing and buying to understand that part of the business. And what that gave me, as I did, was gave me a different aspect of the industry. And I mean, different view of the industry, having worked in the front end, back end, sales, marketing, sourcing, buying, and eventually moving on to a general management role as a CEO and managing director.
Thank you so much, sir. So can we move on to the next question?
Yes, so firstly, I'm glad to be a part of this session. I have a question. So how do we secure our position in any field in the world of such fierce competition?
Just repeat that in between. How do you secure what, Anushka?
So how do we secure our position in any field in the world of such fierce competition?
There's no magic bullet there. How you secure your position is by a combination of performance, and performance basically comes by understanding the role, understanding the function, understanding the business, and being able to perform just that little bit better than what is expected, combined with attitude and hard work. Attitude, to me, is probably the most important thing. And having the right attitude and having a can-do attitude is probably the number one that I would look for in any person that I work with. If the person has got a can-do attitude and a never say die attitude, and these are cliches, I know, these are cliches, but they are facts. That's something which subconsciously a leader will always choose and will give priority to. Because the moment attitude is right, that's half the job done. And with all of you, given where you are, obviously you have the aptitude, you have the IQ, you've got the basic ability to be able to do a job well, to be able to master a function. You always have that. If you've got the right attitude, more than sure you will get there. But so starting with attitude, followed by understanding, performing the role, understanding, being clear right at the beginning, what is expected of you. And many a times, not many a times, every single time, you should actually sit down with whoever is your manager and understand what is the expectation. And if you're not clear, ask again. Be absolutely clear what is the expectation, because many a times failure happens not because the person or the individual didn't try. It came in because the expectation versus the direction that they were traveling in were two different directions. I mean, you could be running very, very fast. I mean, you could be on a train that's traveling at 200 miles per hour, but if it is traveling in the wrong direction, it won't get you where you want to go. And the same for an organization and a role that you're doing. If the expectation of the role is something, it's important that you are going in that direction and trying to achieve that. So attitude, being clear of what is expected, and then working hard to achieve it is what will help you stand out in the function that you are in.
Thank you so much, sir. So I have a question from my end. So you said you studied engineering for your graduation. So that's 4 years. And then you worked in something along those lines for 2 more years. Did the question of sunk cost never come to you?
Yes, it did.
I've invested 6 years of my life in this field, but now I'm going to do something which is completely different.
You're absolutely right. And that's the reason I chose to follow production management in the first year. It was exactly, I mean, while probably I didn't think of it as sunk cost, it was more about sunk years in my mind. And I had spent that 4 years, and I had students with me or my classmates who had done 3-year courses and no work experience. So suddenly you're comparing, I've spent 2 more years, and hence let me not lose out on that. But as I said, what I realized, and thankfully I realized at the right phase, and I thank my guide at Tata Motors who helped me open my eyes at that time by saying that if I were to continue with production management, I would just be going down the wrong path, because that's not what I enjoy. And I'm thankful that I had the courage to shift and move away from that. And that's something which, and combine that with what I said a few minutes back, your career is a marathon. It is a test match. It's not a T20. What does 2 years or 3 years mean in a 30-year career? Well, somebody might be ahead of you. I mean, there were classmates of mine who were in far better jobs or far more attractive roles when they passed out. But when I look back, things even out. And in a 30-year span, it's nothing. Couple of years here and there doesn't mean anything. In fact, again, when you are working, and there are often situations that I see where finally you've got 3 people who are at the same level, and there is a vacancy that falls in, you have to promote 1 out of the 3. When you choose 1 out of the 3, the other 2 will be disappointed because they are all at the same level. And often, not often, sometimes, at least I can remember 2 times where one of the other individuals chose to quit purely because they didn't get that promotion and their peer got promoted. In my view, that's absolutely short-sighted and silly, because it's probably another year before you will get promoted. And is it worth throwing away everything that you've put together? If you enjoy what you do, you should not. It just means that there is a better role waiting for you at some other point.
Of course, sir. So focusing on the long term.
Absolutely. Think about the long term. I always think it's a test match. It's not a T20. Much as nobody watches test matches. That's what your career is.
Obviously. Thank you so much, sir. There is one question we have got from YouTube. So, what do employers of big MNC companies look for in a potential employee for the position of a manager?
Employers, sorry, just repeat that, please.
Yeah. So, what do employers of big MNC companies look for in a potential employee for the position of a manager?
See, a manager is a very generic role. Manager is a title, and manager literally translates to managing people. However, I think in today's world, it is also a very misused word. So it would depend on the role, depend on the function that the role is being for, because you could have a research and R&D manager, or you could have a sales manager. And the requirement for each of these roles would be very, very different. I mean, for an R&D manager, the requirement is somebody who's got very strong functional knowledge to be able to lead, to be able to perform individually and then manage. Whereas in the sales manager role, it could be somebody where you have to manage people, or an HR manager for that matter. So it depends. I don't think the manager title means anything, but what is standard and definitely will be looked by every MNC is obviously your attitude, your aptitude in that order, and a cultural fit with the organization itself. A MNC from a US will have a very different set of requirements to an MNC from Norway, because it's just different cultures, and there's nothing right or wrong about it.
So, focus on your personality.
And be true to yourself.
Got it. Thank you so much, sir, for your various insights. Do we have any other questions?
Good afternoon, sir. So you talked about students not being sure about what career path they want to pursue. What should be one's mindset in that situation when he's not sure about the future and there are 10 different thoughts in the mind?
The mindset has to be about narrowing down and looking. So introspect, to start with introspection as to what is it that, I mean, are you analytical? Do you enjoy being with people? Do you enjoy working on your own versus working in teams? Do you enjoy, I mean, in today's world, coding is something big and everybody runs after coding, but is that something you like? And that's very important for you to realize. I mean, maybe you enjoy actually working in the field of environment and sustainability. And if that's what you enjoy, there's no point in trying to be a coder, because that's not what's going to give you. So that's the first phase in terms of what is it that you personally like and enjoy. Once you do that, then narrow it down to areas, functions, or industries or companies that you could be working on. So now create your own list of functions and industries, and then companies in that order. So that helps you to narrow down as to where you want to be progressing your career with. And after that, again, once you have the short list, I would recommend that you actually talk to people from each of these places. I mean, whether it's a function, whether it's the industry, and finally the company, so that you get an idea of what the real job in there is, or what's the environment that you're wanting to get into. I mean, that will definitely help you then again narrow down your choices. As I said, try and get internships at your age and where you are. You have time in your hands, and there are short-term projects that companies would be happy to give you. And that will help you again to get an understanding of what you like to do, or what is it that you enjoy. And by that process, you will be able to narrow down and finally home in on where you want to pursue your career.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you so much for your question, Rishita, and such an insightful answer, sir. So thank you so much, Mr. Nair, for such an insightful session. I'm sure the students are delighted to hear your words of wisdom. It has truly been a pleasure for all young minds attending the session today. I shall now call upon the Joint Secretary of Xavier's Management Society, Navya Beheti, to address the gathering.
A very good afternoon to Father Vice Principal, Father Principal, our esteemed speaker, Mr. Nair, members of the advisory committee, all the dignitaries present here, our respected professors and faculty members, and all my fellow peers. College experience is all about engaging in different activities, interacting with peers, and creating lifetime bonds with friends. It instills a sense of belongingness towards college and justifies us calling this institution our second home. It is unfortunate that a new batch cannot fully experience this setting. The Xavier's Management Society's prime motive is to explore new horizons, meet goals and aspirations of finding our true passion while connecting with our peers on a personal level. The very purpose of X-Genesis is to give them a taste of what college life has to offer. The theme for this year's X-Genesis, augmented reality, is based on the current situation since the virtual world seems more real than our daily lives. As exciting as it may seem, it takes a lot of effort and commitment on the part of the organizing committee to pull off an event on such a large scale. Nevertheless, the learning graph for both the participants as well as the committee members always goes up. Students of our age are often perplexed regarding what falls under their niche. We are glad that this year Mr. Nair could take up the role of a mentor for all the students of our college. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Navya. Now I would like to invite Professor Supriyo Patra to deliver the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Pratyush. A very good afternoon to Reverend Father Dominic Xavier, Principal of St. Xavier's College, Kolkata, respected Reverend Father Peter Arokyam, Vice Principal of Department of Management Studies, BCom Evening and MCom, our very own Dean Sir, Professor Shaugato Banerjee of BMS Department, a person who is the fulcrum of the Xavier's Management Society, Dr. Sukanya Sarkal ma'am, the professor in charge, all the esteemed faculty members of the department, and I think my dear students. I'd like to start by saying that successful people create pathways for others to follow. For the last almost hour or so, we are lucky to have Mr. Nair among us. I think with his vast experience, he had given us a lot of food for thought. The lunch is round the corner, and I think he has given us enough food to think over. I think it's not a T20, though we are living in the T20 era and the World Cup is happening right now. But I think he rightly pointed out that our career, we should look at as a test match. And talking about the great Indian batting legend, Sunil Gavaskar, he used to say that as a batsman, you give the first 1 hour to the bowler, and then the rest 5 hours will be yours. So thank you, sir, for reminding us that because it's our career, so we have to try and focus on learning in the beginning, and then the consolidation phase, as you rightly mentioned, and earning will follow. So thank you very much for giving us this message in a very simple way for all of us, including myself. So I'm really, really very happy to be there in the session. And then coming back to sir, I think it was just about engagement, the kind of questions that came from all our students. It shows that they were very engaged for the last almost an hour. And I think in the process, it was also enjoyable for all of them, taking a day out from their normal classroom environment in the new normal and getting to maybe hear your vast experience and little bit stories from your life. So that was really wonderful. And then finally, we go with a lot of enrichment. So I'll sum up by saying it focused on 3 E's. First of all, a little bit of engagement that was there. It was really enjoyment for all of us, and then end of the day, enrichment. That really matters. An event of this stature, I think, would not have been possible without the blessings of Reverend Father Dominic Xavier, our principal. So thanks to Father Principal for always showing us the way and guiding us. Father Peter, I think whenever we are in doubt, Father is always there, our own Vice Principal. So thank you very much, Father. I know you are there. And without your guidance, advice, and blessings, I think we will be totally clueless. So thank you once again, Father, for all your hand-holding. Our Dean, sir, a very, very particular person with all things to be perfect. And I think we are learning from sir every day. Thank you so much, Professor Shaugato Banerjee, Dean of our department. And as I said, fulcrum of the society happens to be Dr. Sukanya Sarkal ma'am. So though ma'am was stuck with some family emergency and a tragedy, but I think it talks about our professionalism. you can see the event is happening as smoothly as ever. So that talks about her overall managerial and leadership skill. Thank you, ma'am, for all your support behind the scene. Coming back to the Xavier's Management Society, it's the event of the student and it is run by the students. So I think the Joint Secretary Simran and Navya, along with the entire board members and our students from second year, the working committee members, I think you deserve our genuine appreciation. As Father rightly mentioned, I think we know what actually it takes to try and conceptualize the event and then successfully carry it out. So thank you very much, Team Xavier's Management Society. We call it Team XMS. And as we try and once again break from here, so I'd like to thank all the audience, because it's of you, over 300 of you right now joining this session live. And I think that talks about the quality of the event. And I think we would love to have a sir for another session some other day, given a time. Thank you very much, sir. And I think I'd like to say thank you very much for gracing the occasion. Thank you so much, all of you.
Thank you. Thanks to all of you. And I had a very selfish reason for being here, because I look forward to all of you shopping at Shopper Stop, whether online or in our stores. Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you very much, sir. Namaste in the new normal. And someday we'd love to have you in our campus also when we reopen. Thank you very much, sir. Over to you, Pratyush. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. With that, we've reached the end of today's session. All students, please stay back for a short announcement. Thank you so much. Hope that you shall join the next session and keep up with the high spirits. Attendance and credit forms have been rolled out. All BMS students are requested to fill the attendance form, while the non-BMS students of the college are to fill the credits form. Please check the chat box and kindly do the needful. Thank you.